Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending another show of the Growth Hour presented by the Reinvention Center, Breaking Silence, and Sale Mississippi. Tonight, the topic is how to properly interact with the legal system as well as the police. This is a topic that can have a different variety of answers, a different variety of point of views or perspectives, and we are looking forward to hearing and trying to hearing them all and trying to come up with something that will be educational not only for ourselves but for our families, our loved ones, and everybody else that may encounter the legal system or the police in some form or fashion, whether it be a traffic ticket, if you're walking down the street and they stop you, detain you, whatever the case may be. Um, Before we get into the show, I would like to pass it over to Lisa Riley and allow her to give you some updates on the fundraiser that we just had. And go ahead, Lisa.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Lisa Riley from Breaking Silence in the Reinvention Center. We just today drew the winner for the car detailing gift certificate, which was Mr. Sed Foster out of Stark County, Ohio. Did very well. So I'm here to tell you we're going to keep pushing forward with the fundraisers. I made a post today. I'd stand up and show you. See my shirt? Ooh. Okay, it's a tank top. I got to show you guys that. It's a tank top. If you want to post your logo or your hashtag, maybe you want, my loved one is hashtag justice for Damon. You can put that on a tank top. Message me, inbox me, let me know what you want. And it's $15 plus $2 for postage. And we're gonna never stop as far as I'm concerned. I don't ever want to stop on the fundraisers. So we're gonna keep them coming. We're gonna keep them doing them. And then also it will come about, but then another one will be $100 gift certificate card that so that everyone in every state can participate in that one. So, and thank you for everyone that did participate in the last fundraiser with the car detailing. I appreciate you. You're all wonderful. So thank you for that. And anybody else want to know anything else, let me know. And then also this Wednesday, the first Wednesday of April, which is the 7th, will be the women's group, which will be private. It will not be on Facebook. If you want to attend that, please reach out to me and let me know. Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, thank you for that. I just want to add on to what you're saying as far as the shirts. Whenever you order your shirts from Lisa, if you decide to order some, please include your size. And y'all can work out the actual nuts and bolts of what's going on with the shirts. Proceeds will go to the programs for that is offered by the organization. Again, I like to reiterate that this is not about trying to put no money in our pocket or do anything like that. It's about trying to raise money to fund the programs for the nonprofits and the organizations that we have established. We all know that things cost money to felicitate these programs, and instead of asking everybody to just donate, we ask that you help us by purchasing something that can be tangible to you as well. As far as the fundraiser, as she stated, will be $100 gift card where you can spend it anywhere, maybe a Visa or a MasterCard, so you can go to any store and actually use it. Regardless of where you are, we will send it to you. And if you haven't seen the pulling today, it's one where her granddaughter, I believe she's 3 years old, going on 4 years old, actually was the one that pulled it. So we have an act of innocence. It's not no one that we're got a ticket stake taped to one of our fingers and we're going in the jar and acting like we're pulling it out. We have a 3-year-old that's actually a 4-year-old. I apologize. That's actually pulling it, and it was beautiful. So if you want to see it, you can go on Lisa's page, Breaking Silence, or go on the Reinvention Center, or go on James Jones' page, and you'll be able to see how it actually works. In the very near future, we will be doing some more fundraisers, and we're going to ask that people participate in that as well. Again, it's not to felicitate the programs, and everybody that comes home, needs some type of assistance in reacclimating themselves back into society. So please help these programs that are helping your loved ones. I want to say that. Um, in addition to that, I want to also remind everybody, please do not forget to go on and sign and share Dr. Carmen Johnson's petition. She's still working on that, even though she's extremely busy, and we appreciate her when she does uh, uh, find time to come on the show and make time for us and stuff like that. We definitely understand the busyness of individuals that's actually building and accomplishing things. She has multiple things that you've seen from the other show that she has going on. So just do not believe that because you don't see her that she's not a part or not a part of our family. She's still there. She's still rooting for us. She's just rooting for us in a different capacity, doing something else that may be helpful to your loved one in the future. So always keep that in mind. With that being said, I would like to go ahead on and dive into the actual topic of the day. I feel that, there's no, in my opinion, and it's merely my opinion, I don't feel like there's no right way to be able to tell you how to interact with the police or the system. When you go into the system, they may have it written down in law books or through policies or programs of how things are supposed to happen and what's supposed to go on, and we'll go over some of those things. However, that doesn't mean that's how it turns out in real life. So you hear us preach on that, and say that that the system doesn't work and the system's broken. It's been broken. We already know that. We're just trying to get it to where we can educate people enough to be able to maneuver through this broken system and be able to benefit their loved ones or themselves in some form of capacity. So with this topic, I want to start off by saying that, one second. I want to start off by saying that, everybody has to always, whenever you're encountered by the police or you're encountered by or the system, you have to be, humble. You must remain humble. I'm not telling you to, to just kiss their behind or nothing, but understand that, in reality, you really have no control in the matter. In the courtroom, you talk when they allow you to talk. So that shows me that we have no control. I was one of them guys that I talk, I would interrupt them, and I'm feeling like, hey, are you sending me to prison anyway? So how are you gonna hurt me if I stand up and say what I feel like is right? And because of that, I'm sitting home. I want you to know that there. Now, if I would have just tucked my tail and let them do whatever they wanted to do, I'll be sitting in prison today. So so please, let me say that. Hey, sometimes you have to speak up. I'm not saying that when you encounter, I'm not saying don't speak up with the police, but I'm saying know your boundaries, know your limits when you're encountered by the police officer. We know what the world is today. We see what's happening. A lot of people are saying, hey, this is just starting to happen. A lot of us say yes, a lot of us say no. I don't believe it's just happening. I believe it's technology has allowed us to record some of the things that has always been going on. So I'll start off by saying that it's important that we understand if we are stopped by the police, what it is that we are entitled to and what we can do and what we can't do. The police officer has a right to stop you for any reason. They can walk up to you and say, hey, whatever the case may be, according to them, they have the right to do that. So because of that, I'm going to say that they're going to do it. When they do that, I always ask questions. Okay, what's the problem? But have to do it in a cordial way, non-argumentative, non-aggressive, and try to get them to engage them in conversation to make them feel comfortable with you. You don't want to, you want to kind of, normally when they come to you, they already kind of have somewhat of a disposition or attitude, so you want to kind of diffuse that and bring that down to a level where, y'all are having a dialogue opposed to, them feeling threatened or saying they feel threatened or something of that nature there. with a Terry stop, they can stop you and ask you questions and all that stuff there. The main thing is, I would ask them, am I being detained? And if they say no, I'm not being detained, by law, you should be able to walk off. But in reality, they're not gonna let you walk off. So always keep that in mind, the difference between what's on paper and what's the reality. So if you keep asking them, hey, am I detained? Am I detained? Am I detained? That works two ways. It can work, one, it can work in your favor, or two, it can make them even madder and feel like, oh, this smart, here go a smart behind Joker, for lack of saying some other words. But it lets them know that you do understand somewhat of what it is that they're supposed to be doing, what they're not supposed to be doing. Sometimes when that happens, people tend to move, they tend to stop there and say, okay, well, not going in the direction they're going to go, because they realize that this is someone that they didn't expect to know what you're knowing. Lisa, you have your hand up, so I'm going to let you ask a question. I'll meet yourself and ask your question.
Yeah. With myself, I have a few felonies. So anytime I get stopped, and I could be a passenger in a vehicle, and once they see it's me, automatically pull me out, search everything. My question is this. Now, I understand because of the felonies, they have every right to do that. But at that time, do I have the right to turn on my video camera on my phone? Do I have the right to record what's going on?
Okay, anytime anybody can chime in and give a different perspective, but I want to say, go ahead. I see you look like you want to speak.
Go ahead. What's what you gonna say?
I'm wondering, my question to you is, what makes you think they have the right to tell you, just because you have 2 felonies, I can stop you? What makes you? Where do you get that from? Where did you learn that at? Where did you see that?
And how do they know that if they don't do a background check?
Right. Well, as soon as they get, as soon as they pull me over, my name comes up and they run my name, right? So, and where I got that was just over hearing it so many times. The police would say, "Hey, you've got felonies. You're a known criminal for this act. So now we got to search." Which I've been convicted in 2008 for drug trafficking. So automatically they want to hold me. They want to call for the dog. They want to search the car. They want to pat me down. Anybody that may be in the car, they want to pat them down. So the next time that happens, what should I think? Like, what is my rights?
Well, you have something called the 5th Amendment, federal, and the 14th Amendment. That's federal too, but that covers the state. It's something in both of those amendments. There's something called probable cause. All right, it's due process and probable cause. And just because you have a felony, don't give them the right for no probable cause. If they pull you over for a broken tail light, that don't give them probable cause to do all that. Or if they just pulling you over for a routine stop, that don't give them probable cause to say, oh, because you're a felony.
Give me the definition of probable cause, Mr. Hayes, because everybody on here are not versed in the law. So you're saying they don't give them a probable cause. Okay. What is probable cause?
Probable cause is a reason to do that. In other words, there have to be a nexus. A nexus is something that connects you to the cops' actions to pat you down or to search you. Okay, like you speeding. The cop puts the light on. He gets behind you, and you keep on speeding till additional cop cars come and they pull you over. So now the cops is like, okay, now they got probable cause because now they saying, hey, what did you speed for? Not a problem. People speed. Why didn't you pull over? Why I took all of this? So yeah, now they're gonna call it back up. They're gonna pull you out your car. They're gonna call the dogs and stuff like that. And that's what gives them probable cause. All right, because you acting suspicion, which leading them to the suspicion, was leading to the to the thing of that you may have done something wrong. That's probable cause. But if you
let me ask you this, because that is probable cause, but I want to separate the two. you're saying that first, my understanding of what the definition of probable cause is that there's the belief that a crime is being committed. Um, so
Right.
now, if you are speeding, they have a belief that you are speeding. So they have the right to pull you over for the crime that they believe that you are committing based on the radar or whatever the case may be.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, so now let's separate that. They pull you over for speeding. That has nothing to do with what is in your car. So now they have the right to write you a ticket, tell you to slow down and stuff like that there. However, because we don't know our rights, we don't understand what can be done at that time, they trick us by saying, can I search your car? What you should say when they say that, Lisa, is, hold on, let's finish this first transaction first before we get to the second transaction. Because they're indirectly using the first transaction by holding your license, your insurance cards, and your registration to give you the impression that you cannot go, that you cannot leave. You should have said, so you said, let's finish this first transaction first. Give me my ticket or my warning, whatever you want to do. Once you give me that, now, when they say, now can I search the car? Is this transaction done? Yes. Okay, no, you can't search my car. But if they smell marijuana or see a gun or see something, that gives them the probable cause to believe that there's another crime being committed, and that's when they can go and search your vehicle.
Okay.
That's a good
Now,
example.
if I can ask you this, now, the fact that I have 2 felonies, does that mean anything when it comes to the police pulling me over or wanting to, I don't know, maybe they pulled somebody over that I'm just in the car?
No,
Go ahead, Mr. Hayes.
no. I mean, you did your time for that. I mean, no. I mean, you're a felon. You did the crime. You did the time. That's over with. I mean, you're not a continued felon. I mean, unfortunately, that's how they carry it. But no. To answer your question, no.
Okay, now let me add on to that. And if anybody else want to add on to it after me, you're welcome to do so. I definitely agree. No, that just because you have 2 felonies doesn't mean that they can do anything they want to do to you. However, when we look at it, that's what's wrote on book. No, it shouldn't be that way. But if I put myself in their shoes and I run your background and I see that you have 2 crimes for some violent crimes, that's going to put me at a little more higher alert of protecting myself. Does that mean that I'm supposed to go there and just pull you out of the car, throw you on the ground, pat you down, and search the car? No, that doesn't give them probable cause to believe that a crime is being committed. It just shows that you have committed some crimes before, but it's not saying that a crime is being committed. So that's what stops them from being able to just pull you out of the car, pat you down, and do what they got to do. So now they say that your past shouldn't affect you. That's what they say. But in reality, from a human perspective, if you got two drug trafficking crimes under your belt, and I pull and they just and I pull you over, people would think that, hey, it's possibility she may be doing something now, and that's where a lot of this overzealous prosecution or overzealous police work comes from, because they're going into a gear that they shouldn't even be going into. Reality is what's happening now, not what's happening in the past. So again, I hope I'm giving you a clear understanding of what you can do, what they can do, and what they're not supposed to be able to do. What they do though is this here: if you're a convicted felon of drug trafficking, while they're prolonging the running of your license and all that type of stuff, they're calling for the dog. And while you're sitting in the car waiting, they're walking the dog around your car. If the dog hits on your car, then they'll say, okay, I got probable cause. Or once the dog gets there, they'll give your license back and ask you, can I walk the dog around your car? A lot of people say yes, and then they do it, and then that gives them probable cause. I personally have been pulled over in my past life, and I personally had something in the car when they pulled me over, and I told them, no, you're not going in my car. I was on the highway, put me over for speeding, and I was speeding. And I said, no, you're not going to my car. And he said, you sure? I can't say, no, you're not going. I'm positive you're not going in that car. You can't search my car. And he didn't search the car. What he did do though was climb on the hood and try to shine a flashlight so he can see what's under the seats or whatever the case he could do, but he couldn't go in the car. And when he got through writing his ticket, I drove over and jumped off the next exit. Immediately jumped off the next exit and had my friend get out or whatever they had and wait at this store here until I come back and get you. Jump back on the highway and they had a roadblock waiting on me to walk the dog around the car. But my point is, it is true. The day is different. It depends on the person, the officer, the place where you are, or whatever, for them to or how far they're going to go with as trying to figure that out.
Now, am I allowed to turn on my phone and have my video on when they're procrastinating with running my name and calling for the dog, all of that?
You have that right.
You have that right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you have that right. And I'm going to read what Miss Jane is saying. She said police officers, and she said not all, often seem to have visual hallucinations and see things that are not there or smell things that aren't there. As an addiction therapist, I hear so many stories about traffic stops. I've seen it so many times myself, Miss Jane. I'm going to be honest with you. In 21 years and something I was in prison, I've seen it myself. And, and I've also seen where they pull a person over for speeding and then they allegedly find a bunch of drugs or whatever in the car. But then when you get to court, there was never a speeding ticket wrote. The basis of the stop was never even solidified or wasn't finished. By law, I feel that should be thrown out. If you don't have what caused you to be able to stop me in order to lead up to the other stuff, then you shouldn't be able to you can't just jump from the beginning and go to the end. That's just my opinion. But so I've seen it myself that happens. But again, at least know the basics of what we're doing right now. No, they can't use your back. They're going to use it. They're going to use it. I know that. I want you to know that they are going to use, but they're not supposed to use your history against you. That just, but they're going to do it.
Okay. Your video.
I also want to say, I know yours or mine.
I think yours is lagging a little bit. Yeah.
Yours.
How about now? Is that better?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. You're good now. Yeah. Now, also, what do you think about the way they pull out those taser guns in 2.3 seconds? I mean, what is the law on the taser guns? They love where I'm at in Stark County, Ohio. They love to tase you. They give you a reason to just flinch a little bit, and they're tasing you.
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know the law on the taser gun. And what's like every municipality by way of police department, they have their own rules and guidelines. There's no real uniformity rules nationwide from because it varies from state to state. And so I wouldn't know the law on that, but I wouldn't. It's not as lethal. It's not as lethal as a gun, but nonetheless, that shouldn't be the first thing that's used for a simple traffic stop. But that's not really something that's common. The elephant in the room is race, because that's not something that usually that happens to white people. It's usually happen to people of color. I mean, the gun, the taser, this, that, like Sandra Bland. Well, God told her, well, he didn't pull out his gun, he pulled out his taser when he texted and said, hey, I will light you up. So is it bad? Is it wrong? Is it illegal? Yeah, because there's, like I said, there's no uniformity rule on how they go by doing it. So therefore, when it comes to people of color, all it's substandard standards. So I'm against it. I mean, you should address the human being as a human being. The same way I would, you should pull over a person of Caucasian descent and treat them accordingly. You should treat everybody the same way. So with or without the taser. So, and if you're going to use a taser, have the taser for them too. Don't have no picks. But we know that that's not the case. But generally, that only happens to people of race.
And you know what? I
People
agree.
of color.
I agree with you. As you know, as far as people of color, and the thing of it is every time that I've encountered with the taser gun, it's because my loved one, which is of color, they want to get him bad, but I know in my mind they're going to hesitate just a little bit on me. So on him, they light him up immediately. So yes, you're correct.
I want to say this. Like Mr. Hayes said, you know,
You're breaking up. You're breaking up. You're breaking up, Mr. Jones.
Lisa, I'm gonna let you host because I'm having problems with my internet. Okay, so you're there. Okay, you have it, correct?
Yes, I believe I have it. Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so what I'm saying is here is that there's no uniform policy about
Mhm.
whether there's this has to happen, that has to happen. Not the case. But I'm going to say that I common sense would say that they shouldn't pull a taser unless they feel some level of or some degree of being threatened. So this is why I always say it's important of how you engage with the police when you get pulled over. If you're, loud and you're belligerent and you're, uncooperative, then you're going to get. You're going to get that taser if you're that way. If you are cordial, unless he's an asshole, you're not going to get all of that. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but I'm saying it's going to get all of that. Normally, I have personally, since being home, been the driver in the car, and the laws have changed over since I've been gone. But I was I was the driver of a car, and they pulled me over and said my lights wasn't on, and I knew they were on, but I didn't care. I was, I don't do anything wrong. Let me say that for the world. I don't do anything wrong. So when they pulled me over, I got my license registration. But one of the things I did do was pull down. I rolled down every window in the car before they came up to the car. I want you to be able to see what's in the back seat, what's in the front seat before you get to the car. I don't have nothing to hide. And I had passengers in the vehicle. When they got to the car, all 4 carloads of them, then they said that they wanted my driver's license registration, and then they asked for everybody's ID in the vehicle. And that was something that was new to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm saying, hey, they ain't driving. What you need a driver's license for? So I immediately told everybody, because I know we're not doing anything wrong. Before you say anything, give up your ID. I'm telling you to give up your ID because we're not doing anything wrong. So everybody complied. They ran everybody's stuff and they ended up letting us go. Without not even writing a warning or anything, because really there was no crime. They just seen us and said, hey, let me do this. And this is why they brought the excessive amount of people with them, which lets me know it wasn't a routine traffic stop. You was kind of like profiling us.
Right.
Go ahead, brother.
Right. That's sad, and that's what I was saying. Like that's the general some things that happen to people of color, and these days, as things is changing, the economic structure, where you have a lot of poor underclass white people. So now it's more of a class war. rather than a race war. I mean, we have our race thing going, but it is turning more and more into a class war. When I used to get pulled over, when I was home, because I just got home. I just got home last year. Thank you. Off the compassionate release. I haven't even been home a year yet. But when I was home, I always knew that. And I would do exactly what you would do. I would roll all the windows down. If it was nighttime, I would cut the lights on the inside of the car. First thing I did, I would grab my driver's license, insurance paper, and I would always open up the glove compartment. And when I would give the officer my ID and stuff like that, I will always keep both hands like this out the window. So there's no reason for no one to have no itchy trigger finger or nothing. I would take the keys out the car and I will always put them on the top of the hood. I mean, I shouldn't have to be subjected to this, but I'm showing them, look, I'm not going nowhere. And I put the keys on top of the car. I've never gotten the ticket when I've done that. I've never, even whether I ran a red light, I just never gotten a ticket when I've done that. But whether I'm doing something wrong or not, a person, you shouldn't have to be subjected to those rules and that standard when everybody else isn't subjected to those rules and that standard. And it's not fair. But it's smart, but it's not fair.
Okay, I agree with you. We shouldn't have to be subjected to that, but the world is what the world is today. So what we have to do is figure out what's the best way to be able to map through this world as it is today. And like I say, like Lisa's asking these great questions about, do I have the right to this? Of course you have the right to video. You have the right to ask them questions. You have that right to ask them for their ID. You have the right to ask them for their badge numbers. You have a lot of rights, but because we don't know our rights, that's why we get messed over. This is why a lot of us end up in jail, because if we knew a fraction of the rights that we had when you get pulled over, a lot of this stuff wouldn't happen. We have a lot of people, like I said, that watch TV and come up with, hey, this is not supposed to happen. That's not supposed to happen. Well, they didn't read my memorandum rights. I laugh because the first time I went to jail, I was in court, said they didn't read you. They didn't read my memorandum rights. They said they never questioned you. And I didn't know they had to, question. They had to read them to you before they question you. But I'm thinking, well, I got a sure lock on getting this case dismissed because they never read me memorandum rights. And then you learn as you go through the system, you learn. But my point is, it's important that we know Miranda rights only need to be read when they are about to question you. When you listen at the words of the Miranda rights, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be held against you. That said, if they're questioning you, if you go deeper into something, if they say that you made a statement to an officer or something like that, it must be in your discovery. That's something that they have to provide to you through your discovery, which is another law, Rule 16, which is another law. Then you can challenge whether whether it being that you say that as a right of it, as a result of interrogation, them questioning you. And interrogation don't mean put you in the room and beat you across the head with a phone book, hit you with the water hose, the good cop, bad cop. That means they could be sitting there having a casual conversation with you, say, well, wait, what happened? Anytime they probe about some consequences of anything or circumstance of anything, they're interrogating you. So understand that. There are no casual conversations between a person that's of interest, whether it be for speeding or anything else, and a police officer. There are no casual conversations. I want everybody to understand that. When they stop you, if you're walking, you're driving, I always ask, what's the problem? But I ask them in a cordial way. What's the problem? I don't want to ask them in a way where they feel like I'm challenging their authority, because once they get on the defensive, here comes the taser, or here comes the Glock. And I don't want no problem with either one of the two. Let me say that there. I don't want. So I try to treat them to do what they do. I'm going to read a comment, and then we're going to go ahead on. It says, what is the best way a white person can provide guidance to a POC in regards to this very things, actions during an encounter with a police officer? As a therapist, how can I help provide guidance regarding this? I think that a lot of the To answer that question, I think a lot of the problems that arise during stops or something like that come from a misunderstanding of what it is that they have the right to. You know, a lot of that comes from um, us watching TV, reading news books, or whatever we may do, and we just automatically just thinking and say, okay, well, this is what we can do. You know, they seen this happen on TV and they let it go. So now I'm gonna try in real life, and it doesn't work that way. I would just, tell everybody, and this is one of the services that the Reinvention Center offers, how to engage with the police. And we try to do that with the youth because the youth tend to be a little bit more aggressive when they're encountered by an officer. You know, what am I doing? They're talking loud, they're talking slick, they're balling their face up. And all of those are things that want me as a person, if I'm, as a person, to get a little defensive. So of course it's going to cause the officers to get a little defensive. Um, you know, um, if a 13-year-old kid is getting belligerent with me, now it doesn't want for me to pull out no taser, and doesn't want for me to pull out no gun. Nah, it doesn't. Um, if a 35-year-old man is doing that there, I might look at it from a different perspective, But to answer your question, I would tell them, they have a duty to interact in a respectful way, just like they expect the police officers to interact with them in a respectful way. You know, that would be my response to them. When they encounter you, give them the utmost respect. Give them now give them 100% respect. Give them 1,000% respect. How does a person get belligerent when you're being very respectful? So that I hope that answers your question. Does anybody else like to answer that question?
Well, sometime, everything you told her was you gave him some great advice, and that is true. But like you mentioned, you mentioned Rule 16 regarding the discovery, and one thing I do when I speak to the Harvard steward, I tell them disregard everything they ever seen on Law and Order. I mean, Judge Gleason don't like it because he's a Harvard professor. But I tell him disregard everything y'all see on Law and Order because the judicial system is nothing like y'all see on Law and Order. They don't play fair. The officers don't play fair. There's no such thing as an investigation. They use informants, and that's how they do the investigate. They don't care if you're right or wrong, indifference. Their whole thing is to get a conviction. And regarding the cops, all you can do is just try to be respectful, but it's hard. Not being respectful it's hard just even to deal with them because some of these officers, not all, they wake up with an agenda and they're going to fulfill that, and their objective is to fulfill that agenda that day. So the advice you gave them, or the advice you gave the therapist is great advice. But at the same time, explain to the kids that if it don't work out, don't overreact, still don't become belligerent and bellicose in your demeanor. Just remain, just remain congenial and just, go along with the situation and keep it from escalating any further. And explain to them that sometimes, bad things happen to good people. And so therefore, if the officer persists, then, don't feed off into it. Just go along, and don't make the situation in bad, worse than what it is.
I definitely agree with that, brother. But the main thing is I want to get across to everyone is what's written in these books and what's written in these policies and these things does not always happen. So you can't go into a situation think that, hey, this is what's going to happen or this is what's supposed to happen. A lot of times we control the outcome of how things turn out. Sometimes we don't. Oftentimes we don't. But I think that we have to understand that we control us. So by our actions, we might be able to control the situation because as they say, it takes two to argue. So if you are being respectful while they continue to be an asshole, eventually if he's a partner, he may tone him down or say, hey, man, it ain't that type of party, you know. But so I've seen that, but I have, and I must say in their old life, I had a lot of, run-ins with the law. Not that I was committing crimes; they would just pull me over because I had a lot of nice stuff. Um, and they would pull me over, and I was young. I was very young. So they would say, I had one pull me over, see me driving, look at me. I'm riding in a new car. He pulled me over. I don't pull over. I drive to my house. And then when I get to my house, when I'm riding to my house, I'm calling in the house and telling them, hey, come outside and get these car keys, because I feel like that, and I know I ain't got no driver's license. I know I don't have no driver's license. So I'm saying, come get these car keys. So when I get to the house and give them the car key, they're not going to tow my vehicle because it's parked. I'm gonna lock them up in my vehicle and I'm gonna give the car keys. So I actually make it to the house, and I'm asking the officer, hey, why you pulling me over? What did I do wrong? And he knows I don't have no driver's license because we had a previous run in. So he said, give me your license and your registration. And I said, okay, what did I do wrong? Tell me why you want my driver's license and registration before I give it to you. And he's steady telling me, well, just give me your license and registration. So my family member who I call comes out the door and gets my keys. So they're asking, okay, well, what did he do wrong? And the officer's telling them, ask him, like ask me. So what I do is I say, well, since I'm doing all the answering, this is over with. I'm free to go. And at the end of the day, make a long story short, I don't want to keep going to the story. I just say, hey, I don't have no license, but I give her the keys. I don't have no license and stuff like that. And they end up taking me to jail. But again, I'm going to make you do your job. I'm not going to do your job for you. So I ask them, hey, what's the problem? There's nothing wrong with saying, excuse me, sir. What did I do wrong? And he's supposed to, or she's supposed to tell you that you were speeding, you ran a red light, or whatever the case may be. That's supposed to be the dialogue between anybody. What did I do wrong? Don't wait on him to come up there and ask you, or expect him just to tell you. Ask him, hey, what did I do wrong? And allow him to say, okay, well, this is what you've done wrong. So that way, if it's something that's out of your control, you didn't turn your blink on or whatever, or you did and it didn't work, you can tell them that. And they can see it's a malfunction of the equipment, and they can write you a warning or an order for you to get it fixed. So this is why it's important that you ask them, hey, what did I do wrong? So that's one of the things I want to keep in there. So I touched on what you said, Miss Jane, about the malfunction, so I don't have to read that there. Lisa asked about what do we think about body cams?
We need them. I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, they need body cams on all the officers on the street and in prison. Them COs need to start wearing body cams. That's long overdue. And there should be some type of rule where they mandate them having to cut them on. And I couldn't say enough about it. I mean, yes, we need body cams. I mean, that goes without saying.
You have Miss Sarah Jane that states that they're absolutely necessary, and I'm sure everybody on the panel would agree. They're absolutely necessary inside of prison and outside of prison, because you have a lot of people that get murdered inside of prison by the officers, by the staff. And as Miss Jane also stated, Miss camera miraculously it's not working at the time that they just so happen to be jumping up and down on your head, or somebody head. They work. They just turn them off, and they know all the cuts and the trades and where to hide at, where the cameras angles don't get you, and all that stuff there. So again, even if you're dealing with a correctional officer or you're dealing with a police officer, always show the utmost respect. That's the only thing that I can preach to you. Always show the utmost respect. Have I always done that? No, I haven't always done that. But I know that, as I got older, that, hey, it's not about escalating the situation, it's about diffusing it. So always show that. You know, body cameras are needed and are essential. You know, they are needed and are essential. You know, but they're not turning them on because you know some officers, and not all, as you said, Miss Jane, not all. You know, but some officers go out looking for a problem, looking for a confrontation, looking to escalate, looking to want to tase you. You know, want you to do something like that there, and because of that, you have to be the one to diffuse the situation.
That's correct. That's correct. But yeah, but like them body cams. But like I said, but see, you just can like you made a valid point regarding them not cutting them on. There has to be some sort of uniform rules. This is why the people have to begin to take notice, you know, be held accountable for this because there has to be some sort of uniform rules where when this happens, this automatically goes on. Or maybe like okay, like how we have it in prison. Usually when they having an incident going on in the prison, as you know, they have, we call them deuces, the body alarm. When the deuces go off, it goes off on all the CO's radios. So every single officer know that something is happening in B4 and they will run to the incident. They can take them body cams and hook that same signal up. That same signal up. And when the incident happened, automatically all the body cams go on to that incident. And and that's how you that's how that should be done. Even in the police field. Okay, officer shot. We got a shooting. The responding cars that's coming to that incident, automatically, the ones that's responding to it, they body cam should automatically cut on, be turned on. They shouldn't have to cut them on. Automatically. Once it's all said and done with, okay, it shuts off. But you see, that's dealing with legislation now. That's dealing with legislation now. That's something that we the people would have to begin to push. But that's how you can resolve that. That's how you can resolve that. Don't make it just manually off and manually on. No, make it where it automatically cuts on when a responding officer is going to a crime. Is likewise in prison. And when something happens, the deuces go off. They got walkie-talkies. It's that they can put on that same signal.
Well, you know, I challenge everybody that's watching this to find out where you can actually start to push a petition or give your opinion of however it may be about getting things like this done. You know, we have to have a lot of power and a lot of things. And if we don't exercise our power, how do we expect change? You know, so it's kind of responsible just as well as everybody else. And throughout this whole broadcast, I've been telling you that we control how the interactions to a degree, how the interactions or how the situation is going to turn out by our actions. Same thing applies with trying to get changes and laws and stuff like that. That we can't just sit home and continue to say, well, hey, why didn't they have their body cam on? We feel like this, we feel like that. You know, get down to the police station and make some noise about it. Hey, let me speak to, you know, get to the mayor or get to the chief of police or somebody and say, hey, you know, why is this not happening? We need to get some legislation or something passed that states that as soon as this happens or they're going to a situation, they need to turn their body cams on. If they're getting out of their car, they need to turn their car cams on, you know, because they do it for them. I know for a fact that when they pull you over late at night on the highway, they turn their car cams on, you know, so it's not, you know, you have it for a purpose. So it ain't like you got to run to your trunk and hit a switch and all that type of stuff there. No, it's just a click of a button before you got your vehicle and you do that. I think that they should, I think that we should hold them accountable by getting down there and making asking that they make those changes. Trying to get some people that, because there's enough of us that have loved ones, family members, boyfriends, aunts, cousins, sisters, moms, and all that stuff that's been involved with the law, and whether it be in prison or out of prison, to where we should be able to come together collectively and push that this happens. Even if we do nothing but do not a GoFundMe, but a petition online, like we did, and saying, "Hey, get everybody to sign it, saying that we want body cams and this is what we want." I particularly would do it state by state or city by city first, opposed to trying to go national. I would do
Right.
it, because you can get more done that way than you will if you're trying to do it nationally. Because you got to have more signatures. But if you got 1,000 or 10,000 signatures, and you're in a small town of population of 50,000, that's that says that a lot of the population wants this, and they tend to give the population what they want when it's that the numbers are high. So again, I would challenge everybody to do that there. Mr. Jones, you got something you want to say? You keep unmuting yourself, sir.
It's not intentional, but yeah, I do got a couple of things. A lot of good information. There's nothing I disagree with. It's a couple of things I want to get off my head. Mr. Haynes and yourself, Derek R. And to the lady, I forgot her name, who said the question about what advice would you give a person of color in dealing with the police? I've been black all my life, been a man of color all my life. I don't want y'all, or I wish no one would
Really?
fall for this trap, for the trap of thinking that you I know you have rights, but don't get it twisted. Your goal or your agenda is to survive that encounterance. So even though they may be violating your rights, if it's not physical, you want to, don't, sometimes you lose a fight, to win the battle. I've seen them infringe upon people's rights. So if you got a guy that's going another way, just because it's your right, I want to see you come home. So don't, play the hand that you're dealt and play it to win, or play it to survive. You don't win all the time. So don't get caught up all the time. That is your right. If they violate it, know that, you're going to fight another day. The second thing, Derek, what you and Mr. Haynes are talking about is exactly right. I get so frustrated because we don't vote. What you guys are talking about, make a stand as far as the body, not my idea, but I've heard this and I wish it was like this here, that there be consequences when your camera doesn't work. If you don't take a DUI test, there's consequences on the side of the road. If I commit a felony and somebody else in the car, they get the consequences. So that's what I wish, that we would speak to our legislators, our representatives, and we vote or put them out, or we make noise so that there are consequences. Because Mr. Haynes, there are laws that say they're supposed to do these things, not in the manner that you're asking, but close enough. But they can just simply say it wasn't working, or it was off, or it wasn't. Okay, if it was off, now you got these consequences to deal with. That's what I wish. That's something that, be careful though with your rights. That's the biggest thing that I'm most uncomfortable with. I'm hearing tonight. You do got a lot of rights, but if they ain't playing by the rules, you can get your head cracked, or so that's what I wanted to share this.
I definitely appreciate the comment. It looked like Lisa wants to say something. Lisa, you would like to say something?
You know what? I appreciate your comment as well. And I agree with everyone. I'm thinking it's so sad how far back we have to go, because in order for these people, the policemen not to turn on their body cams, they got supervisors. Why are they letting this go? Just go so far back to this one's not doing what they're supposed to, and this one's not doing what they're supposed to. So, I agree. We need to come together. We need to do it individually, state by state. We need to make people accountable somehow, because here's the thing. If we do nothing and we just sit back, and then we can't have these discussions. We can't get on these panels. I don't think so anyways. Just talking about it all the time. We got to do something, because at some point that person, they pull over, maybe my grandchild, and they may take my grandson's life. And then I got to live with, what did I do? We got to start thinking outside the box. And I truly believe that fighting for wrongful conviction, it never ends. Even when you come home, you got to still keep fighting for your rights. You got to keep fighting for just being treated like a human being. And I truly believe that. And a lot of people think that, oh, you know, this person's home and it's done. It's not done. Because believe me, and you guys, please let me know what you think. When I came home with 2 felonies, they messed with me even more. They're looking for that window even more because they want me to go back to prison. You know, they want me because I'm job security. If I go back to prison,
not only that, Lisa, what happens is if you already have felonies, it's looked at as if he didn't did this before. You won't be. Let me say it this way: I'm a person that never had no felonies, and you're a person that has 2 felonies, and they bring both of us in the precinct, and they're thinking, which one do you think committed the crime? Automatically, they're going to go with you. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they kind of like, you know, the people with the new felonies, multiple felonies, because you know, they're not questioned as much if you have a record, you know. But if you don't have a record, you know, it might be more questions about, you sure this guy done this? Because this guy ain't got a blemish on his record. He's never been in trouble all his life. But if it's the other side of the coin and you'd have been in trouble 10 times, then they said, hey, you know, this guy been in trouble 10 times, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And I want people to understand this because I personally dealt with this. When I went to court, before I was going to court, you know, I had a bunch of agencies investigating me. You may have heard me say this before, but I had 6 different agencies investigating me for my crime. And every day when I went out, and this is one of the times that I told you the officer pulled me over and he knew I didn't have license. Every day I was getting pulled over and getting stopped, or for whatever reason, and they would arrest me for bogus stuff, and then I go to jail, and and then they'll like a week later the charges will get dropped, or whatever the case may be. But I want you to know, every time I went to jail, it was a blemish on my record. We're not smart enough to say, okay, now that this has been dismissed, I need to get this expunged off of my record, meaning it's erased off of my record. So we don't do that. So that means that blemish is on our record. For a period of 3 months, I was getting pulled over every time the police had seen me in my area. I got pulled over 10 times. I even got arrested for stealing my own car, and went to jail and stayed in jail 1 week for stealing my own vehicle. Okay, now it was dismissed. But my point is, when I went to sentencing for this crime, the judge said, you had 17 different encounters with the law, and 15 of them were dismissed. You've been getting over on us for a long time, so I'm going to punish you. And I'm saying, well, hold on. I didn't get over, that was bogus. But that ain't the way they look at it. So you have to get these blemishes off your record, expunge them. If you don't know how to do it, reach out to me. I'll tell you how to do it, because it's a simple process. Actually, it's so simple. You would just shake your head, because it's just a matter of going to the court, getting a form, filling it out, paying the processing fee, and waiting 30 days, and then it's off of your record. It's that simple. Don't go pay these lawyers no $300, $400, $500, $1,000 to get something expunged off your record. You know, if you want to know how to do it, I'll tell you how to do it. You know, that's where I'm at. You know, I want people not to be taken advantage of when it comes to their spending their money and stuff. If I can help you, you want to got a question, you know, this is the Reinvention Center. You know, just contact us through that. You can find my personal email on the website, and contact me with your question, and I answer them. I'm not going to be your lawyer. I'm not going to help you with your case. I'm letting you know that. But if you ask me how to go about doing something within the court, I'll give you a response to that. You know, also, I want you to know all of this stuff is in the book, Getting Arrested, Insider's Guide to the Federal Legal System. The purpose of that is to do what I'm doing now, to give you information at a reasonable price, so you don't have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars. I want to say that definitely appreciate everybody for coming on. Anybody have any more comments on this topic before we even before we close out?
Yeah, I have one to address what we was talking about initially, Lisa, and talking about the consequences. Here's the problem. This is the biggest problem that we have with punishing the police. They never get punished. I was just watching the TV with the trial that's taking place now, where they gave the family $20-something million, now almost $30 million, right? And they got something, right? So one was people will look at that like a win. Okay, let's say the cops beat you up, Brother Jones, and you sue them and you get $3 million. And that look like a win. And you know, you only got so what you got beat up, but you got $3 million. But it's not a win. Because your mother, your son, your child, my mother, Lisa, and the people, taxpayer citizens is paying for them damn lawsuits. This is what everybody's missing. It's not a win. It is a loss because the taxpayer citizens is paying for them damn lawsuits. You are paying for that lawsuit. So this is what needs to be done. This is how you hold them account. The policemen have a nationwide, and they all together. They got a $1 trillion union thing. They all stick together. All right. They need to pass legislation where the cops have to do like nurses and doctors and lawyers do with malpractice. You see, when you begin to start hitting them bastards in their pockets, that's true accountability. They will stop their foolishness. Along with the criminal prosecution and everything else they can possibly get, come with that. That's how you hold them accountable. That's when you will truly start seeing a change, when the insurance rates begin to go up. Because now they can be subjected to losing their house, their car, not you, me, my mom, your dad, your child, and your kids you don't even have yet have to pay for the lawsuit for something that they done did. This is why there's no real true accountability. Any lawsuit a person get for a loved one, a person that died, good, get the money. Don't get it twisted. But it's not a win. It's actually a disservice and a loss to the taxpayer citizens. Because we are the ones that's paying for their foolishness and folly, and they just keep on doing it because there's no true accountability. But if they was to pass legislation, again, where they had like a malpractice type of thing, for like how they have for the doctors, like they have for the nurses, you'll see a difference. You'll see a difference in everything. You'll see a difference.
No, I agree with you. And I want to say this in closing. Definitely agree with you on that. And when we look at the case that's going on today, as you stated, I'm not sure the exact amount, but I know the family got, I believe, over $20 million. It was 20-something million dollars. But the officer, that didn't affect the officer in any way. He didn't care nothing about that. In fact, he got, I don't know the exact amount, but I know that he had a lot of people that donated money to his defense fund. So, there's no consequence for his actions other than him having to go through this trial. He's not even having to pay for his defense fund, and he has the best defense lawyers because some other people who believed in him supported him. So again, like you're saying, we have to make the changes by going and do the things that we need to do as far as going and in acting that legislation we put in to change these things. Don't give them don't give them immunity on the job or job capacity immunity. If it happens while they're on their job, then they got immunity. Also, if it happens on their job, then they got to automatically have the attorneys, that's provided to them. Stop all of that. If they stop all of that, then they'll make better decisions. When they know that there's some consequences, I get what you're saying, they'll make better decisions. With that, I want to read something that Ms. Jane said, and then I would like to close. She said, staying alive is of utmost importance and being respectful. Being the one to make sure the situation remains de-escalated makes you the better person. I definitely agree with you. We may not like it, but as Mr. Jones said, we have to choose our battles and whatnot. And it's about staying alive. And that's the thing that I think that should be conveyed to the young people of color or the young people the people that come to you in the therapy. The first thing and the thing that should be pointed out the most is your objective is to stay alive. So here's how you can stay alive. Here's how you can't stay alive, or it gives you lessens your chances of staying alive if you do this, and this. So I think that that would be the best answer to give them. Which is you should be doing whatever gives you the best chances of staying alive, and it doesn't matter how it makes you feel or look to other people. You're alive. You're allowed to be able to see another day. Yeah, he may talk stuff, but he's laying on the ground with 8 holes in him now. That doesn't make sense to me at all. So with that, I would say that everybody, please, just your objective should be to stay alive. And I appreciate you, Mr. Jones, for that, because you gave us something to build on from that point there. With that, I'm asking this: if anything else anybody else want to say before we close out?
I would like to thank this honorable panel and for y'all inviting me here. God bless y'all and thank you. And anytime y'all want me back, I'll be on. And I appreciate it. Y'all have a beautiful Easter and everything else. And I would like to speak to you about the conversation we was having earlier, Mr. Jones, regarding
You are my Facebook friend, correct?
That is correct.
Inbox me, and I'll send you my direct number so you can contact me. We can go from there. I definitely would like to do that. For the listeners, we are talking about some crimes that our families encounter all the time, which is 924C counts. We'll get more into that. It's important that you know about that actual crime, because the first time you do it is 5 years. I don't know how much it is now.
25.
I'm sorry, updated, because that was what it was when I did it 20 years ago.
In 1998, Jesse Helms had of Virginia, West Virginia. He had changed he had sent legislation through Congress, and now the first time to do it is 5 years. The second conviction for the 924C is 25 years, and the other conviction after that is 25 years. The Supreme Court botched up the definition in a case called Dills, and they allowed the courts to stack the guns on you. Well, they give you, if you use the gun 3 times, it's only one indictment, it's one conviction you're going to get, but they will turn you into a career offender in one indictment and give you 85 years for just having a gun. You haven't killed nobody, I mind you, but you're doing 85 years for just one gun. So this is a legislation that we're pushing and trying to get passed so they can change it. Subsequently, the First Step Act came out. The First Step Act did explain the language, how it's supposed to apply, but now the Supreme Court is too cowardly to address the issue. But that's for a later date, and Sylvia will address it
in the near future. In the very near future. So to put it on layman terms, I want to say that if a person or your loved one is doing, or is I want to use the term selling drugs, selling marijuana. I'm going to say that marijuana, and he has a gun in his pocket, and he has 5 bags of marijuana, and he has 1 gun, and he sells 1 bag to one person, and he has that gun in his pocket. That's 5 years. He walks 10 feet and he sells another bag to a different person. I want you to know that that's 25 years, in addition to the 5 years to run consecutive, which means that he gets 30 years, 5 for the first one, 25 for the second one. If he walks 10 more feet instead of the 3rd bag of weed, that's another 25 years, which is going to cause him to have 55 years and so forth. This is what we mean by stacking the counts. For selling a bag of marijuana. We'll give you more examples of it. I don't want to hold it up because of the time restraints of the show, but I will say it doesn't have to mean you have a gun on you. He could be sitting in his car and the gun's in the trunk, or you could be in your house. He's on the front porch and the gun in the house. You get to them, that's use of a gun related to drug trafficking crime.
They call it constructive possession, although it's nowhere near you.
So I want, we're going to explain that more. And as the gentleman said, we have a lot of people that's pushing to try to get that legislation changed. And we're going to do what we've been speaking on doing, trying to take action and to make something to get them correct or wrong. We feel like this is the best time to do it. So, we're going to do that. So in the near future, we will be having a show on that. And with that, please, everybody, thanks for coming. Thank you for coming. With honor for you coming, brother. And thank everybody else. Always an honor and a pleasure to see everybody. with that, we're going to say good night, and I'll see y'all again next week, same time.
All right. Good night.